Hi, I'm here with May Flaum, and if you're like me and May, you've got a ton of washi tape. And May has a great idea for how to use it up. So May, tell us about it.
Hi, Julie, great to be here. And you know what I do? I actually have this layout here that I have made, and all of my embellishments are cardstock covered washi tape. And I've got a lot going on, as you can see here, but it's kind of I call my style, of course, a controlled chaos.
I love that.
There is chaos, but it is within range. I've got my 2 photos here, and then I've got a strip of washi tape below them to kind of bring it all together, and I stitched it into place because I've got a textured cardstock, and the washi tape does not tend to be super sticky adhesive, so I like to put a little stitching or something on top just to kind of help it make sure it really stays put there. And I
love how your messy stitching totally looks like waves and
exactly. I like to give, when I've got something like this, like the waves, like you said, I love to add that kind of motion with it. And I've also got some splatters of mist in here, got a lot of little fun little embellishments tucked in here and there, as well as doilies, and of course I love my shaped paper clips, and my tip for those is to just use a wet adhesive to really glue those down so that they stay put for you. But I think really what we really want to talk about and play with are the accents, the embellishments that I've got with the washi tape. So let me show you what I've got here. Basically, I like to work with manila cardstock, and in fact, I've got a piece for you too. Yay. If we both want to play. And what I like to do, it can be a tag, it could be a folder, cardstock, whatever you happen to have. I just like the manila because the washi tapes are fairly sheer. So I like to use that because it will kind of give a nice neutral look.
I remember when you told me that, because if you look at this washi tape that I'm using right here, you can see that on a different colored surface, like if I put it on the table, it appears completely different. And that warm look from this nice colored manila really, I think, comes through, and it gives that beachy feeling too, because it's like the sand and the water.
Absolutely. And I like to be very random with this. I try not to think too hard about what order I'm putting them in, which ones I've used, which ones I haven't used. It's okay if there's a little gap in between. It's okay if they overlap a little bit. Either way is definitely going to work. Well, you've picked such a nice color palette too here, May. Like, I'm looking at it, and it does have that whole beachy, soft, nice feel. And I love that you don't have to be precise. You can overlap, you can not. Now, I noticed you're trimming your washi tape. So tell me why you're doing that. Well, I am trimming them because when I go to cut this out with however I was going to cut that out, the one thing I don't want is I just don't want there to be sticky tape hanging off that can, say, gum up my paper punch or get stuck on my electronic cutting machine, or in other words, I don't want it to gum it up. The other thing that you can do if you don't want to use your scissors is you can just fold it. You just fold it over the edge.
Super easy. Yeah. So now I am gonna put mine, which I made. So it was so hard. I feel really tired.
I know.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop that into my electronic cutter. You could, of course, use a punch or scissors or whatever you have on hand to do that. So when I go into my cutter, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into the built-in patterns, just like you might pick a punch or something else. And I know you have girls, so you love flowers.
I do.
So I say we cut out some flowers. And again, I can make them any size that I want. I can make them a variety of sizes, whatever it is. And let's make 3 or 4 of them. What do you say? Go ahead and put them in there. Okay, so I'm just gonna scan in my paper to make sure that it's perfectly placed. And one of the things that I like so much about whether you're using a punch or an electronic cutter is when you can really see what part of it you're gonna punch out, then you can make some fun decisions. Or you can fly by the seat of your pants, right? And you can just let fate take over and just let it be what it might. Okay, so here you go. I have the scan up on the screen, and now I can go ahead and I can drag my flowers, just like I said, wherever I want them to be. If they're too small, I can of course go in and I can resize them. You can do really whatever suits you and your mood. I love that about crafting, that we can all do whatever we want. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hit OK, hit cut, and we are gonna be off to the races. Now, while that's cutting, let's talk about you and your control controlled chaos, because you've got some great ideas about using watercolor and mist and stuff in really great controlled ways. So give it to us.
Okay, so what I am gonna play with, I just have some cream colored cardstock here, and I have my watercolors out, and I've already, the colors I wanna use, I already put a little water on them and let them soak so that they are ready to go and ready to play. And for this, I'm gonna swipe through there with color and then swipe another time or two with just water. And then I can switch colors if I wanna. I kinda wanna bring some green in here this time. And what I love about this is I'm not thinking too hard about if it's gonna be just perfect or exactly how it's gonna be. I'm just kind of playing with color and,
as you said, fly by the seat of your pants and have fun.
I'm flying over here and just letting it go. So when I am happy with how it looks, one of my very favorite things to do is to take some mist, and I almost never spray my mist. Did you know
mine
that?
always clog, I feel like.
They do, but the other thing that I find is that I don't always like the even spray. So what I like to do is just take the top out and then flick it.
Nice.
Like so, because what I like about that, and I'll give some gold as well, it gives me the nice splatter pattern, but I can also really control where those splatters are going.
Actually, I was gonna say, if you look at this piece of paper you have underneath, I only see one thing that didn't end up exactly where you put it.
Very rarely, it does happen of course, but very rarely when I use this technique do I even need anything under. I just have a lot of really great control with it. And you can see here on the card that I made where I did just exactly what
And I've got your flowers for you right here. They've cut out in a variety of sizes for you right there.
Now see, this is what I love and why I say you don't need to worry about the exact order of your washi tape, because when you go to cut it out, it's going to be an assortment, and we can then play with placing them down. We can add in some buttons on top of here. It's so much fun, Joy.
It is, and you told me that it's not just washi tape, because you are a super resourceful crafter.
I am.
Right?
I do this with pattern paper. The tip for pattern paper is you're going to need to put adhesive across the whole length of it, not just in spots, because when you go to punch or cut it out, if it only has adhesive in spots, your pattern paper is just going to...
You're talking about putting in pattern paper
if you
strips.
wanted to do if you wanted to do strips of pattern paper so that you have this kind of an effect if pattern paper is what you have a lot of extra.
But you have this beautiful layered flower here, I noticed, that is just out of regular big sheets of pattern paper, right?
You know what? Actually, it's scraps. Scraps big enough to cut up. I just take them and then use my fingers to fold the leaves, put them together, and attach with a brad.
So just little scraps you have left over, why not cut them into shape so that you have them in your drawer ready to go?
Get them
I
all used.
love that idea. So many good ideas for using up our stash.